Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Oscar Clark, he, him pronouns, and I am on a podquest to learn everything you wanted to know about game dev, but never dared to ask. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Mike from Cybernetic Walrus. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi, I'm Mike Coeck, and I am the CEO of Cybernetic Walrus. So we are a game studio based in Belgium, and we've been doing this for about 8 years now, making games. And currently, we're building a game called Roadside Research, which is doing good wish list wise. Yeah.
Definitely, and very exciting, and looks amazing. And obviously, I should probably highlight that we happen to share an accelerator program, and we happen to share an investor, and we were chatting away at the investor barbecue the other day. Anyway, so moving. Let's paint a picture. So, Belgian-based development studio. Does that offer any kind of particular challenges or opportunities for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think the good thing about being a developer in Belgium at the moment is that our government is doing a lot to
Mm,
support game development. So that's definitely a good thing. The hard thing about being a Belgian developer is that there are not that many Belgian developers, and it also becomes hard to find talent that already has experience.
yeah.
We have a very good game development school in Belgium,
Yeah.
or a course at least. It's called Digital Arts and Entertainment. I also followed that course. I was 38 at the time,
Oh, okay.
so I went back to school. I changed careers.
I met the team.
Um,
Well, I met one of the team, a couple of team, when we were out there, and we also visited the Flanders Game Hub. And
yeah,
I have to say, I was very impressed with everybody. There's clearly a desire to basically raise up the standard in terms of what's happening in Flanders in particular.
yeah, absolutely. And also the Flanders Game Hub is definitely something that is really helping out with all of that. We are also part of it, by the way. So we're also part of the Flanders Game Hub.
Hmm.
And the good thing about that is that we actually got a lot of access to to international talent, or very senior profiles that could help with business and stuff like that. So very happy with how that goes.
So, the reason why I think that's interesting, because obviously a lot of the team that people who will be listening to this will probably be London based, and maybe there are a few other territories. There are some folks in Berlin, there are folks in Portugal, etc., etc. Actually, to be honest, I'm being a bit unfair. We have quite a range of people, but a lot of people are in a similar situation to, where people will think you're from. But I think that we should probably highlight that you're not new at this. You've been making games for quite some time. So you're not just a fresh starter. I can't remember how many games you said you guys have already built.
Well, so this is the one we're going to release
Mm.
soon. Is our fifth game.
Mm.
So we started out, I think, in 2017 when we graduated. We actually had a school project called Anti-Graviator,
Mm.
which is like this futuristic, fast-based racing game. That was our first title, and then we did like something completely different, which is called Rise of Humanity, which is a deck builder kind of game mixed with some XCOM in there. So that's that, and then we actually took a turn into virtual reality and augmented reality, or XR, because we did a lot of work for hire as well, and a lot of that work for hire was based on everything that was XR. So
Yeah.
we decided to do a game like that, and that's how we made Does It Stack, which released last year
Hmm.
in October, and then this year we actually released our first commercial success, to be honest, which is called Order 13, which is a game we did actually in 3.5 months. And this is kind of I wouldn't call it a horror game per se, but it definitely has a horror twist to it. So that's the game we worked on last, and now Roadside Research. Yeah, that's the one we're also going to release this year. So we're releasing we're going to have released three titles in almost a span of a year, which is pretty crazy.
I think that's incredible. This is one of the reasons why I so wanted to chat to you, because a lot of the things that I've been kind of encouraging people to think about, you seem to actually be doing that kind of rapid iteration, that rapid development. Do you mind kind of giving sort of taste of the kind of your approach, and how did
Yeah.
roadside research happen? What was the sort of technique to get you to the point where you were able to start talking about that publicly?
Yeah. So let me go back to Order 13, because that's
Yeah,
actually the project we started doing this with. So the whole thing. So the thing is, we came off Does It Stack, the VR game, and I don't know how people know that VR is currently not a good market to be in.
not ideal.
It's a difficult market. I'm not saying it's not a good market. It's a difficult market to be in at the moment, and it all has to
Completely.
do with how Meta does the store and whatnot. So we released Does It Stack? It wasn't commercial success, and we had a runway of about 4 months, and we had to decide, like, what are we going to do in these 4 months? Are we going to do another VR game, or are we going to do a flat screen game? But then, doing a flat screen game, like, how are we going to stand out? Because I go to Gamescom every year, and
Mm,
every year the indie arena booth becomes bigger and bigger.
it
There's so
does.
much competition with indie games. So we had to come up with, like, how can we make something fast, like not spend 3-4 years on it, make something fast, and that hopefully has an impact. And that's how we came up with what we call the momentum framework. It's like something internal that we designed, but the idea is to validate our concept before actually putting a lot of time in it. So the way we do this is we try to work towards a trailer of the or a teaser, whatever you want to call it, first. So a video of what the games is gonna be like. So we want to develop that first, and that's what we basically do. So we make a game design document. We also talk it through with a publisher or somebody marketing related to see, like, is this a fit for the current market? Is this what people are playing? Is it what people want? And then based on that, we come up with, like, in our game idea. And so for Order 13, for example, this is like, you play as some sort of Amazon worker. So you're in this order picking big warehouse, and you're in a cozy spot, and then the warehouse is haunted. It's cold, it's dark, there's stuff happening there. And this is basically like, um, what we wanted to show off. And instead of building a whole game or a prototype, we thought, like, let's show a little bit of what the game can be. So we actually only developed what we needed to create the teaser. So there is actually gameplay footage there. It's not all made up,
Hmm.
but there's not a full game at that point,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So that's basically what we do, and it's the
But
same
that's
for
a good
Roadside Research.
technique, I think. I mean, one of the issues I think we've had historically, and I'm going to kind of like, if you think about the kind of situation where we have with something like a No Man's Sky, where there was a lot of game there, but the people were talking about what the game they want. Sean and Co. arguably talked about the game they wanted to make, not the game they're about to release. But we're at a different stage in our development. Oh, you were in a different stage of your development journey at that point. You were iterating to identify exactly what the game could be and hadn't made a commitment to a release period at that time. For me, that ability to be able to test and try and experiment so you can iterate, knowing that you'd have to fulfill that promise, that to me is a different case. That to me is a completely legitimate way of working because it's actually about communication as you're developing your strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So of course, you have to you have to make sure that what you're showing in that trailer is not going to be something very different than what you're delivering. You want to deliver what that teaser or trailer shows the audience. And I do have to say, with Roadside Research, because it blew up like crazy, there might be a little bit of mismatch. Like, people, we've just released a demo actually on Monday. So the demo, in the past, I don't know the exact numbers today. I haven't had time to look them up, but we had like 50,000 people play the demo over the last 3 days. Um,
50,000 people playing the demo in the last 3 days. That's not small numbers. That's pretty damn good.
no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But we noticed that some people were. So Roadside Research is all about running a gas station, but you're actually aliens preparing an invasion,
Yeah.
right? And it is in its core, it's kind of a game like Supermarket Simulator, where
Yeah.
you're running a gas station, so you have to stock shelves and do all of that, and that's also shown in the trailer.
Yeah.
But then you are also an alien, so you're trying to the people that come in, you're trying to get their DNA because you want to send that over to the mothership, so you know
Yeah.
what you're getting into when you're doing the invasion.
Absolutely.
But of course, that starts up pretty slow. While we're already in the trailer showing some more advanced stuff, it starts off a little bit slow, and we've noticed that that does not really connect. But we've been making changes to that. We've actually doing today our third update of the week for the game, fixing some issues we had. We did a lot of playtests, but still there are a lot of things shown up. It's also a multiplayer game where Order 13 is a single player game, so there's a lot more involved. And where we did Order 13 in like 3.5 months, this is going to be 7 months of development and then a release in early
But
access.
that's
So
still
it's not a full release.
ridiculously fast, you could argue. I don't mean that
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
good
yeah,
way. I think that's an amazing thing. I mean, I think, finding the fun rapidly is incredibly important. One of the things I discovered when we were trying to publish was just trying to instill in developers that you can't wait a month to do the change. You've got
yeah.
to do the change in a week. And the risk with that, I think, is that you could quite easily end up overscoping and burning out the team. And I don't think that's reasonable either. So, how do you deal with that tension between getting the rapidity that's necessary to be able to keep the momentum, the data analysis, the player experience, finding the fun quick enough, versus everyone going at 1,000 miles an hour constantly for 7 months and therefore burning out?
Yeah. So I do have to say, like the last 3 weeks have been kind of. I wouldn't say it's crunch because we
Yeah.
we do not support crunch.
No.
So let's just be clear about that. We're never asking our people to stay longer. If they do more work, it's because they want to do more
Yeah.
work. But
But
even like
that's the
this week, which
seductive draw, isn't it? I mean, we all end up being passionate about what we want to do. And I'm not, by
yeah,
the way, I'm not really pointing out. I'm not being funny about
no,
it.
no, no,
But it is the
but
risk, isn't it?
yeah, but for example, we never work weekends.
No. Good.
So
Good.
so so there's definitely 2 days now that we're not going to touch anything.
Yeah.
Or it is me and Subi who are the founders of the company. We of course do a
You're
little bit of
expected to
stuff,
do that.
but we're expected to do that indeed. So, but we do not expect our people to do that. And if
No.
if it was so, we would ask them beforehand, or ask them, yeah, could you jump in because it's important.
Yeah.
But in general, I think leading up to the release, except for like the last week for maybe release of the demo, I don't think it's like, okay, there are moments where we put in some hours, but that's also the thing. Like for us, people who put in hours extra, they can recoup them. That's also a given for us. So if people put in more time, and even if it's out of love for the game, they can recoup it at a later time. So
Yeah.
that's a given for us.
Completely.
Um, yeah. So yeah, but it is hard not to trying to burn out people, and I
I
do
mean, it
understand that.
genuinely is, and
It's
I think a lot of indie teams can fall. The reason I make that joke is because I know a lot of indie teams can find themselves falling foul of those kind of pressures, and I think, like you said, it's important that you make sure that they get that time back at some point, and because one of the things I think is really tricky is that there's no guarantees with this stuff.
yeah.
The fact is, though, something about the design, the style that you've already created, something about the approach that you've managed to pull together to make something that looks very playable, that's got this dilemma tension between keeping the gas station operating and doing sneaky things and not getting caught. That's a really nice inherent tension in a core concept that's immediately understandable, immediately relatable, and I see absolutely why you've got such a huge impact so far.
Yeah, it did take some iteration to get to the concept
Yeah.
of what we're doing,
Hmm.
um, but also maybe to come back why we go so fast is also like we're never trying to reinvent the wheel, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we don't want to have new gameplay because everything we're doing with the aliens has not been done, but I also mean like if we have to do something like key bindings, for example, key
Yeah.
bindings or graphical settings or whatnot. We will look in the asset store for a package. We're using Unity as a development platform. We'll look in the asset store for a package and we'll adopt that package. If we need to write something from scratch like that, it might take us a month and a half. If we can get a package from the asset store, I mean, in a couple of days, it's in the game, it's working. We adapt it then to our needs, and that's what we do. Not this is an obvious one, but we do it with a lot of these things, and also graphics. We have two very good, very potent, or how should I say that? No, very experienced 3D artists in our studio. But we know if they need to make everything in the game, that's going to take way too long. So we also reuse things that we buy.
I think this is incredibly important. And also, you're not currently building this as a live operated style game at all. This is a one-off package experience, as I understand it. But what I find really interesting about what you've done is I can already see how I would live ops it. I do that with every game, so ignore me completely. But the fact is, you've got aliens, you've got these faces, you've got these simple structures. You can absolutely see how narrative updates could be allocated to it, seasonal updates could be allocated to it. Missions with different kinds of men in black or maybe other kinds of aliens that turn up. You can imagine the comedy that could come out of that. So for me, what I find fascinating about the core premise just works. And from that, I can see so many opportunities to build so many things. But the fact that you're repurposing, the fact that you're not reinventing the wheel, to me makes that even easy. Not even, oh God, it's not easy. We know it's not easy, but you're taking low hanging fruit. In my head, you're choosing the easier things to do because you can use off the shelf tooling. Because you've worked out how you're going to apply that in a way that is uniquely your brand identity. To me, I think you've set yourselves up for a successful and potentially longer term manageable experience.
Well, that's of course the goal, right? I mean, as an indie, it's. I mean, we've been doing this for 8 years. We made all the mistakes that you can make, I guess. So I also think the way we work might not be for like people who are doing their first experience, right? You need to have a little bit of knowledge of what you're doing, and also on the fast development side, it's not the cleanest code if you would look into a code, which is something which I know my developers can do because we did it before, but all of that takes a long time. So we make it so that it's somewhere in between, like between clean and still like expandable and
this is the challenge, isn't it? This is the compromise. It's working out what problems can you solve now, but how do you avoid stacking up problems later? And I mean, do you have any kind of mindset how you minimize that potential long-term tech debt?
The thing is also, by doing this for 8 years, we've built some tech already that we have, and that's something we can reuse, and that is code that is a lot more robust than the things we quickly write to get the game going. So
that's fair.
So that's of course also a thing. As I said, it's hard for new teams to probably pull off what we're doing at the moment, but 8 years, okay, it's a long time, but it's also not a long time, if you know what I mean.
Well, but you've just said it again there, this repurposing mindset, the fact that it's not just applying to off-the-shelf tools, it's actually the tools you've already built for other purposes. You've built with that structure in mind.
Yeah, the same for Order 13, for example. The warehouse is actually an asset pack that we have put in the asset store like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we reused that. So we were thinking, because we only had 3.5 months, we had 4 months of burn rate. So we had to come up with something, and that was a package that we made. So at some point, when we were doing a lot of work for hire, we sometimes had people on the bench. We had some artists on the bench, and we said like, okay, make a package. We put it on the Unity store. We'll see how it sells. And this is a package that still sells a lot. It's been used in a lot of games that I know already. So our warehouse, like the Cabin Factory, for example, uses it. There was a new game as well. Anyway, there's a demo from Photon that uses it. So it's used a lot.
But this
But
is the point, isn't it? What you're shouting out to me loud and clear is that you're taking the opportunity, each asset, each piece, each function, and thinking about not just the thing you're doing for that game. You're not handcrafting every moment. You're thinking about what tools, what frameworks, what templates can we leverage, and if we've already done some work, can we repurpose, reuse that,
yeah,
and deliver that? And to my mind, that is how you get to be fast.
yes, exactly. But that's true. That's you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's
Because you don't want to slow down the idea generation. You don't want to slow down the kind of realization of a player experience. But if you're gonna speed that up, some of that stuff takes time, takes breathing. You have to let the concept breathe enough to understand what it's actually doing, not just what you first thought it was going to do. And then that means you've got less time to implement those elements. And I think that's a really exciting way to look at it. So we talked a bit about kind of like structure and how you've approached things, obviously being in Belgium. What I'm also interested in is um, obviously one of the things is you've got we kind of partly talked about it, but you've got this game out in front of people very early.
mhm.
I mean, I say early because you're going so fast. It is
Yeah,
early. Is it that early? When you're still trying to get within that year of, because you've got a demo at the moment. You've had 50,000 people play the demo. Um, that's quite a level of quality. But how do you get from zero to the how many hundreds of thousands of wish lists and 50,000 people who play in
yeah.
3 days? How do you get that? Because most people cannot work out how to get visibility for their game. What trick did you pull? I hope it's not just luck.
Well, since we've done it twice, I don't think it's luck,
Yeah, yeah,
but of course, like, the second time it goes a bit better than the first time.
yeah. Well, you have an
I mean,
audience to build off, then, don't you?
exactly, and that's the important thing, and that's also one of the things that I learned from being in the Flanders Game Hub we discussed earlier, and talking to people like Jason De La Rocca and people like that, is that yeah, try to build something where you can reuse your audience.
Yeah,
Like as I said, the first three games we made were like completely different. So that meant three different audiences. So we had to rebuild that thing over and over again. But Order 13 and Roadside Research, they are like simulation games or tactile simulation games with a twist. So we already have a small audience. Now, just to be clear, Order 13, the audience, we had like a Discord of 800 people. So it's not like it was that huge. The other thing we do is we work with Oro
but
Interactive
you
as a
say
publisher.
800 people on Discord. That's not nothing.
No,
I
that's not
know
nothing.
fairly large games that don't necessarily have huge amount. They're profitable, but they're not necessarily magic. But 800 is pretty,
Yeah,
particularly.
we're closing in on 7,000
Yeah,
now
yeah.
with so that's how I compare it.
Well,
But
exactly.
it's true, 800 is not nothing. But you have these people that you can talk to. But and the other thing is, as I was saying, we are working with Oro Interactive as a publisher.
Yeah,
They do all of the marketing, so they're not
yeah,
involved in paying for what we're doing. They just do the marketing side, and they do it well, and they know how to reach. So we basically do two things, right? We do normal PR reach out, which is, let's be honest, it's hard to get like on a website like Rock Paper Shotgun or those things. Although it happened with Roadside Research, but it's hard. And nowadays it's all about influencers, right? And also you want to reach these influencers without paying lots of money.
yeah,
That's the idea. But just to say, for Roadside Research, we had a very good trailer. We've put that trailer on all of the social platforms, so mostly important YouTube, and also TikTok, because TikTok is huge when it gets picked up. And that's actually the first thing that happened, is that the actual trailer was posted by Oro Interactive, and it had, I think, almost 1 million views on TikTok.
yeah. Incredible.
And once that happens, we also sent to other influencers and said like, hey, most of these influencers are the ones that make videos about trailers and
Yeah,
that say like, oh, I've seen this new trailer. this is what's in it. This looks like a cool game, whatnot. And also those went viral. So
Yeah.
for them, it was also, they were reaching an audience. I think there's one that hit 3 million views or something like that.
Great.
And that snowballed it, to be honest, when
Yeah.
it comes to Roadside Research. So there was really a snowball. We also seen that we also when we do a trailer, it always goes out to IGN as well. And what we've seen with the first one is that it got so much traction that they release a lot of videos, but you can see, like, you can compare the videos they released before you and after you and see like how many views you have. And if we looked around it, it was the video with the most views.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's what we also have.
But
To be honest, a new trailer for the demo, and that's not doing that well at the moment. So.
Well, that's an interesting one, because I mean, where I was going to go was, I found it fascinating because I think there's something immediately understandable about the concept that comes across immediately in the trailer. But what I'm wondering about, do you think the kind of new trailer, is it that you haven't hit the B of the bang? So I've been using that analogy a lot lately, probably too much. The idea that you've got to, if you think about trailers, you've typically got around the first 3 seconds to get their attention.
Yeah.
Once you've got their attention, you've got to get them to care about it. And you've then got to give them a reason to act before you get to the end of it.
Yeah, but yeah, I just to be clear, because I might have said it wrong. I know that on IGN itself, the trailer is not getting picked up that much. But I know on TikTok, for example, it did go viral again. So it's not. I don't know why, but it might be the thumbnail or something that's not really
the thing,
working,
isn't it? It's working out the nuances. Like you say, it could be thumbnail, it could be the opening phrase. Maybe it didn't have a early enough hook, but I think the thing is, there's also the fact that it can also be fatigue. There may have been 3 other videos that came out that were really popular prior to the one that yours came out. Maybe the timing wasn't great. And I think, it's very easy for us to get to over indulge in the conspiracy of what could have gone on. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean, because I see that a lot, that people are like, and I've been like that as well, like really fascinating over whether one pixel is in the right position on your Steam thumbnail, for example. Well, I'm exaggerating with the pixel, but like Steam thumbnails and all of these things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't have impact, but the impact is probably smaller than you expect. Yeah. That's at least my feeling. That's
no, that's fair.
While important, it needs to be good, right? But if it's quality, it's quality. That's the thing.
To my mind, I think this kind of stuff is all about depth. So, the role of TikTok isn't always about the direct kind of sign up to the Steam wish list. To me, it's about creating a sense of zeitgeist, so that when you then get the streamer who happens to get excited about the game and showing off the experience, they've had some familiarity that this is a thing that is coming. And now they've seen someone that they respect or are interested in, at least, showing that experience off. And to my mind, that's about that kind of layering and depth. And therefore, the more you can talk about the development of the game over time and you keep that conversation going, no wonder you've got like 7,000 or whatever on the Discord, and hopefully very active folks. But I think there's something that what I picked up from talking to you is that there's an authenticity that you guys have inherently in the team. You want to make great games. You want to try new things, and you're in it to make great content. Is that? Do you think that's part of the kind of? Am I reading in too much because I've met you, or do you think that that's something that people are picking up through the trailers? I feel like it's something they pick up.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. That's something I don't know if they pick it up, but of course, like we're doing it out of passion. You, as I said, I was 38 when I went back to school and followed like a daytime course for 3 years, which
I
no
can't
income.
even imagine doing that.
Yeah, it's 3 years of no income. It's 3 years of going back to school every day. I went from Antwerp to Kortrijk. It probably will not say anything to people who are not from Belgium, but that's like 1 hour, 1 hour 30 that you're traveling.
I've done that trip.
One way. You've done it probably now, but yeah, I mean that's you need to have passion to do that, and to be very honest, I haven't regretted any like any second of it. Of course, there are difficult times, like with everything, but
Well, the
yeah,
last 3 years for a lot of people has been difficult time, and it sounds like you kind of got a bit of that in the process. But the fact is, your response to that wasn't, oh no, I can't do all this. Your response to that was, I've got 3 months to build something.
yeah,
And
yeah. That's the thing, right? And that's, I think, as an entrepreneur, that's because that's more, I guess, my role within the company is like trying to align the team and see where we can go. And I have to be honest that it took a bit of convincing from the team as well to say, like, let's not stay in VR and let's go to a flat screen game.
yeah,
But once we I was on board with that, we try to look, and it's also a team effort. It's not just me, but it's also a team effort to look into,
of
like,
course it is.
what can we do. And then I then do the business development of side of things, and go like, okay, how can we do this fast, right? How can we, you know, get this going? What can we do? Who can I talk to? And that's how we also talk to Oro Interactive. We like both of our projects are actually signed just on concept.
Yeah,
And I get a lot of publishers coming up to me now because of Roadside Research, and they say like, hey, do you have a publisher for Roadside Research? I say, yeah. But if you want to work with me, I'm not working like a regular developer. You have to be ready to put in money in the beginning,
yeah,
like not finance the whole thing, but like the first step we do, getting from idea to a video. If you're willing and prepared to work with us, where we do most of the investment, but you also take a part and you make sure you market it, that's how we can work together. So because we all know, like most of them, they go like, oh, do you have a playable build? Can we play the build? And then they probably don't like it that much, and they keep you on a string and go back and forth and
yeah.
whatnot. If you want to work with us, it's very simple. You have to be ready to invest from the beginning. And we yeah, that's the
That's
thing. We do,
I love it, absolutely love it. I mean, as someone who's sat on both sides, well, we didn't invest in the development. We instead gave, like, service support and live ops support. And but that's a long story. The fact is that most people that I've talked to are facing, when they talk to a publisher, not just have you got a playable, and woe betide someone says to me the phrase vertical slice, I want to strangle them, because that's, to me, the wrong way to make any of those things. The fact is, for me, I want to be
yeah,
able to focus on, like you say, the testing. Is there anything? I want to have 15 different options about which game is going to be the one that's going to be most likely to have an audience. But most publishers want you to not only have a playable, they want to know what your initial data is. They want to know what your retention numbers are, especially in mobile. Oh my goodness! I mean, it's not just the mobile teams, but yeah, they want to. If it's Steam, it'll be wish lists, no question about it. If it's
yeah,
numbers of people who played, responses, gameplay, data,
yeah.
and I
But
get
let's
that.
build. Yeah, I get that as well. But let's build that data together, right?
Yeah,
Why should I as a developer be
yeah,
responsible solely for building that thing?
yeah,
Right? I can come up with a concept, and if you as a publisher are interested in the concept, then let's do a pre-publishing agreement
yeah,
where, and that's my premise. We come up with the idea, you guys validate it, you help with the trailer. That's what we ask. We could do
yeah.
the trailer internally, but we ask, like, come up with a trailer that works marketing wise, because that's what we expect from a publisher. Do the marketing, right? So help us with creating this trailer, and let's put it out there. And if the numbers are right, if we have enough wish lists afterwards, and that's the beauty of working like this, we can go into a publishing deal, and we can see who invests or who pays for what, right? There's a lot of bargaining at that point.
Now, what I find interesting about that, particularly because the risk profile for the publisher is high, but the stake play is low.
Yeah,
And I think that, to me, is it's almost a bit like working in the kind of hyper casual era, where they would have a bunch of games on commission to submit dozens of ideas. And I think that what I like about this way of describing it is that it shows to me that we don't have to be stuck in just the same old publishing cycles.
Yeah.
I think we've seen an increasing leverage of power by a publisher against the developer community, putting more and more risk on the developer rather than
Yeah.
on themselves. Again, I understand that. But if we're going to
But
see pipelines, if we're going to see innovation, if we're going to see, because let's face it, the games that shock are the ones that try something different.
yeah, exactly.
And,
Exactly.
in my head, I'm looking at AAA and I'm seeing more and more of the same game that could easily have just been a live ops update.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that unfair of
You're,
me?
no, I think you're completely right. I mean, that's what we see, right? We see the same FIFA every year with a couple of new things to it. We see a Call of Duty every year. We see, I mean, or almost every year, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean, right?
I
It's
do.
all the same game, and it's like a bit different, and like
But
creating
but
from
then we see a
AAA studio.
Helldivers 2 come out, and then we see a
Yeah,
Balatro coming out, and then we see I don't know Hollow Knight or something coming out where
yeah,
they're not. I mean, I am referring to at least two sequels there, which is not necessarily proving my
yeah,
point. But the game mechanics elements that they're bringing are bringing something fresh.
yeah, exactly, exactly. There are a lot of like I mean, there are a lot of these games. Like even if you look at games like Supermarket Simulator,
Mm,
which our game is a little bit based on, but if you see what numbers they are doing, this was also a completely
mm.
new concept brought in a way that really works.
Well,
And
Power
and
Wash
there are
Simulator. I mean, it's a few years
yeah, that was
now,
the other
but
one I was going to mention.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that,
what a daft idea, and yet when I
yeah,
play it, I kind of get completely absorbed.
yeah. But and that's the thing that I'm saying. Like if the publisher is willing to take the risk, and their risk is small, let's be
Yeah,
honest, we're going to put out a video. Like their investment, like they can, that's 25K, and we put in 75. We work a month and a half on that, so it's not like it's huge amounts of money. And we're not saying sign a publishing deal from the beginning. No, do a pre-publishing deal where we go into this venture where we try to put something in the market, and if it works, yeah, let's keep talking. If it doesn't work, let's move on to the next thing.
but again, I think to sum it up, I think what we seem to be talking about is a mindset to making games, which I think is a change from what we did pre-pandemic. We were starting to see, I think, some of this with hyper casual, and as hyper casual was turning into hybrid casual, which hasn't really happened in the same scale as I was expecting. But the idea of moving from that fast-paced delivery mindset into something more long-term retaining, I think that was starting to happen in the kind of pandemic, but it was kind of scuppered by the drop, the complete kind of like bottom falling out of the ads based revenue model. For lots of good and not so good reasons. Obviously, I think we have yet to really see the impact of the funding coming back, which I think
Yeah,
it's not quite come back yet. But I feel I don't know about you for Gamescom. I felt Gamescom felt whilst slightly less busy in the business area than uh, previous years. I found it more gelling, more conducive, if that makes sense.
yeah. But you were on the Belgian booth now,
But I was on
right?
the
Not on
Belgian
the
booth.
UK booth.
But no,
Yeah,
but I was all over the place. So I obviously had to go visit my
yeah,
old chums in the Yuki booth occasionally. But I mean, I was there for a different purpose. We're now offering
yeah,
kind of a service
yeah,
platform, but the amount of, I mean, we sat. I spent so much time on each of the platforms because obviously I got friends all over the place. But I definitely got the impression that there was an energy, whilst not as exciting as the last year prior to COVID, which was like smash and grab almost, if one of a better phrase.
yeah,
I definitely felt there was an incredible strength compared to last year or the year before. I felt much more robust. Um, Now, my impression of that is that we are getting to the stage where, I mean, look at teams like Force VC investing in Belgium. We are seeing more investment happening in games. We are seeing more games coming through. But I think you guys are an example of how we can look at this differently. How we can look at this as a model of how to address a market first and foremost without compromising gameplay.
Yeah, but that's indeed what we're trying to do at the moment. And so far, I will tell you after Roadside Research actually launches, but so
Well,
far
yeah.
I think
Well,
it's working.
so this is the thing that's ahead of you. So let's turn that around. Now what is it because obviously you've pushed games out, and we all know the last 2% is 80% of the work. Um,
Yeah.
that getting it live. What are the kind of challenges you've got ahead of you to take this cool concept and get it to smash it? Have you built too much hype that you can't live up to it? I mean, I don't think you have, but I have to pose the
I,
question.
yeah. I hope we haven't, but yeah, I think the big challenge we have right now is building all the content for the early access release. I mean,
Yeah.
I think because of the multiplayer, which is different than what we done for Order 13, we might have underestimated a bit the time that we would be spending fixing a few things for the demo.
Multiplayer is a nightmare.
Um,
The
yes,
hardest thing about multiplayer for me is matchmaking. Not the matchmaking itself. I mean, that's technically solved problem. It's the critical mass problem.
yeah,
Having
but
enough people
this is
online to
yeah,
play in the
yeah,
30
but this is
seconds that I can be
co-op,
bothered
right?
to wait. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is co-op, so we don't
Yeah.
have public rooms. So you just play with your friends. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just like it's a friend swap game,
yeah,
like the term they use nowadays. Just have fun with your friends and
yeah.
run a gas station. So it takes away a
It
bit
takes
of the
away so much
complexity.
of the complexity. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and because if we would have had public rooms, yeah, you have to take so
You got
much more into
moderation
account.
issue. I mean, you still have
Yeah,
moderation issues you got to worry about. You still got various regulatory, privacy, data based questions you're going to have to deal with. But at least you don't have to worry quite so much about toxic community.
yeah, exactly. So that's something. Yeah, that's like if there's toxicity, it's toxicity between friends, right? So
Yeah,
that's not really our problem.
yeah, no,
you
exactly.
should you should get better friends if that's the problem.
Get better friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, but for us now, it's like what the stuff that we still need to build to get like early access. We learned a lot from the demo. I
yeah,
mean, we know that people want to see more of the alien integration, so that's the good thing about what we've done as well. We have a community now. The community played the demo. They've shown us like where it's lacking at the moment, so we have a bit of time now to build that, but not a lot. So that's the
well, you've
thing,
set
and
yourselves ridiculous time frames, but I think that's marvelous.
yeah, we have to. It's not only um, because we want to go fast. It's just also an economic
You
reality.
have
Like
to.
at some
You
point,
have to.
the money runs out, and if it
Yeah.
runs out, that's where
And
it ends.
and that's why I think it's so important that you get a great community, but you also get them behind you to back you, to give you the run rate you need to. And I think this is also why I know we were talking about kind of like the issues of communication that happen when you talk about the game you want to make, but I think this is actually where you can turn that to your favor, where you say this is where we are, and make no, it's not something you have to apologize for. This is where you are. That's all right. It's great. Let's do that. But this is where we'd like to go. Would you like to go there with us?
Yeah, but
And
that's what we've been doing,
yeah, I think the
and
difference
and that's
between
that's
inviting and promising, I think,
yeah.
you're inviting them on a journey, not promising them something they can't realistically get.
No, indeed, and the good thing about it is that we've got so many great people in the community now.
Yeah.
I've been so surprised with how helpful some of these people have been.
Yeah.
Because yeah, all of these problems, like if you grow a community from 800 to 7,000 almost, suddenly you need moderators because
Yeah.
we're not online when we sleep, right? We're in Belgium. The most of our audience is in the US,
Yeah.
so we need people that can moderate at that time, because sometimes you have these bots jump into your Discord and starting to harass people, and we need to
Yeah.
get rid of them. But if you're asleep, you can't do that.
Exactly.
So again, and these people, they came from within the community and said like, hey, I want to help. What can I do? And there were like we opened applications for it. We had like 15 people who applied to it. We selected four of them.
Fantastic.
Um, and it's but it doesn't stop there. The ones that are not there, they're also helping. We've seen reviews on the demo that are incorrect, where people are just replying like, this is not correct information. I mean, if you have this, then that's strong, because we don't. I mean, that's people
It's massive.
advocating for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a delight when those things happen. I mean, I've gone about this before on the pod, but I still I can't get over the amount of passion that people had for the thing I worked on, PlayStation Home, and the fact that they've rebuilt the darn thing through binaries, the fact that they've still talk about their last moments as they were shutting it off to me when I speak to them about it. I mean, when you get that kind of when you become that much of a part of someone's personal story, there's nothing like it. I don't care if any money was made. The fact that I get people telling me about something that I was involved with that they still remember, magical. And I
Oh
feel
yeah.
to me like this is one of those kind of games. So obviously you've got massive challenges ahead to get that through, but it sounds to me like the fight that you're going to have to play. You've worked that out. You've got that plan, and you've built, more importantly, a community of people to take you along that journey.
Yeah, that's the position we are in right now. So and it's fun, eh? It's fun to see all these people reacting to whatever you do. I mean, it's like crazy. Yeah, we haven't had that before, so this is new to us as well,
Yeah.
especially because the community is so big, and they're all willing to help out, and yeah,
But think about
in
the
that
odds,
sense.
right? We often joke that it's about 1 in 300. I say joke, it's not even a joke. About 1 in 300 games break even. Now, I don't know if that's correct, but it's a kind of gut feeling. And to
Mhm.
be one of those games that's looking like it will be not just 1 in 300, but potentially even better than that. That's what I'm hoping for you, anyway. That to me is a special thing to see that opportunity. So to sum us up as we kind of close off the pod, what if somebody's trying to either make their next game or their first game? What are the lessons that you think that you would want to share with them to give them the best possible chance of success?
Well, I think is like, try to validate your concept as early as possible.
Yeah,
I know people have been saying that, and it's sometimes harder to do than you think, but try to do that, because you cannot spend 3 years working on something and not knowing what the result is going to be. That's just way too long. That's way too long.
way too
You
long.
have to, yeah, you have to do it as soon as possible. You have to know if people are gonna like it or not. And there are different approaches. I've seen different approaches. I've seen people do it on like creating a prototype and doing it like with the prototype. But
Yeah,
for us, it's like making something that looks good, put it out there in front of people, which is not a game, which is a trailer and an idea of a game, and see if that works. And if people pick up on that, yeah, then it's up to you to deliver. But again, I'm not saying, and that's a disclaimer, I'm not saying that all that I said in this podcast is right. This is what works for us, of course.
yeah,
Um, but I think getting, and that's universal. I think getting your concept validated as soon as possible, finding a way, like in normal product development, you have an MVP, a minimal viable product. It's
yeah,
it's harder to do in a game, but if you can get to something like that where you can test whether somebody likes what you're doing or not, there's so much value in that. And again, I like, if we can make enough money to keep the company alive for 1 2 years, and do two games in that period of time, I'll be happy. If we make more, I'll be even more happy, of course. But it's not a must. It's more about, let's stay alive. Let's get some form of recurring revenue, and make sure that we can make more games. And that's
yeah.
that's why we are in it.
Exactly. So I think some key stuff for me that comes out of that is one thing that you've really well expressed is the need to pay attention to your burn rate. How much
Yeah.
money, how long can you keep going, and building something that fits that time frame. I think that's incredibly important. And and it's not true. This is not trivial. This is, this takes discipline. This takes real proper
Oh yeah,
understanding.
yeah,
This is buffer. But it's incredibly focusing. And if you think about, you've got to think about what scope of what you can do, alongside keeping a simple, clean, immediately understandable proposition that's compelling. And I think if we
yeah,
hold those two things, it's not about making the great game that you loved again. It's about making a playing experience that is going to be so compelling and delightful that it's going to buy you time to make the next thing and the next thing. Or, if you take my mindset, to be able to make a great thing that you can build on and build on
yeah.
and build on. Mike, that's been fantastic. I love the fact we talked about validating games. There's a whole chapter in my book that's going to be on that, and I'm about to do a presentation for a whole bunch of accelerator programs on the very subject as well. But it's just private for fun. I think is it sad that I like talking about game dev for fun? Anyway, well, I think that's what we do. Mike, it's been fantastic. So hopefully you guys out there have enjoyed that. We've been hearing about the the process of building an amazing game and getting a huge interested audience about that, but doing it through a sense of focus, through a sense of deciding what is going to be the most effective way to deliver the best experience, and leveraging tools and resources that can be repurposed, because that then frees you up to be able to focus on the important things. How do you make a better playing experience? And I think that's really the thing, working out how can we get great gameplay for our players at the easiest and simplest and most effective way possible without diluting the player experience. It is so easy to think the validating game is enough. A lot of people don't do that, even that, but it's even harder to keep true to the vision of what you're trying to present. And if that vision isn't centered on what players care about, you are out of luck. You
Yeah.
don't get to a situation like these guys have. Cybernetic Walrus have done an amazing job with the game. But remember, they're not the end goal yet. They've still got a way to go. And I wish them the best of luck getting there. And I'm convinced they're going to smash it out of the park. With that in mind, please, if you enjoy this, please like, subscribe, share, all the other things that people do. Don't forget, we've got our Discord, GDL Discord. Come and have a chat. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about these problems and issues and options and opportunities. And most importantly, check out the game. It's the demo is on Steam right now. Mike, do you want to tell everybody the details of how to go look at that?
Yeah, so go to the Roadside Research page on Steam. You have the demo that's on a separate page, but you can get it from the main page. Try the demo, play it. If you like it, leave a review. If you don't like it, we'll come by with neuralizers to wipe your mind. Because that's how it works. We all see the movies.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
how it
if
works.
you want to, yeah, if people want to find out more how we do things, I'm also giving a presentation at Unite Barcelona about this. So if people want, you can, and you're going there, just say hi if you see me.
And Mike, what's the best way for people to get hold of you if they want to talk further with you? Is it the Discord or something else? LinkedIn or
So
something?
yeah, so we have the Walrus Games Hub is our Discord, which is dedicated to only our tactile-based games with a twist. So sim games with a twist. So you're welcome there. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Otherwise, yeah, you can email me, mike@cyberneticwalrus.com, and I will respond when I can.
So there we have it. That has been our podquest for this week. Please, like you say, like, subscribe, and all the other stuff. And we'll be back again. We'll be talking more about the passionate world of making games. And I look forward to speaking to you then.